Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Coach Craig Sports. Today is March 1st, so this is the first day of March. If you guys have been following me for a while, I've been doing February DFS picks. We're going to be talking some DFS picks for today on both Draft Kings and FanDuel. But before we get started, we're going to be talking about my picks from yesterday and how they turned out. We had Ja Morant, $7,200, looking for about 36 fantasy points out of him. He was definitely a mess. 22.75. This game ended up in a massive blowout, so that kind of hurt him overall. Sterling Brown, $3,900. Looking for about 19-20 fantasy points out of him. He got to 19.5, which was exactly 5 times value, so that was a hit. Harrison Barnes, $6,500. 2 times in a row, he's been a real big hit. Definitely a guy I liked a lot there. 45 points. He was massive hit again. And then speaking of massive hits, we had PJ Washington. $5,900. He had 66.25 points, which was a massive hit. He had 42 real life points. Definitely a career best game for him. Then at center, we had Tristan Thompson. Only played 19 minutes in this game. I believe he had 12 or 13 rebounds, though, so that definitely helped him out. $4,500. Looking for 22, 23 fantasy points out of him. He got to 24.75, so he was a hit as well. Then on the FanDuel side, not as pretty. De'Aaron Fox, $8,000, got 43.2 points, so he was a hit. Terry Rozier, this one was very disappointing. He didn't shoot well once again. I thought going against the Kings, it might get a little bit better, but it did not. So $6,800, looking for 34 fantasy points out of him. He got 13.8, so he was definitely a massive miss. Daniel House, kind of the same way. $4,500, looking for 22, 23 fantasy points out of him. He got 9. It just wasn't pretty for the Rockets yesterday. Then Jared Vanderbilt, $4,400, looking for about 22 fantasy points out of him. He got 12. That was a miss as well. Kelly Olynyk, same thing, 18 fantasy points and was a miss. So overall on the FanDuel side, it wasn't too pretty. But you're going to have days like that. You just got to bounce back and roll with the punches. With that being said, we're going to look at the injuries for today's games. So for the Mavericks, the only thing we're looking at is Kristaps Porzingis, probable to play once again. Did play last time out, so no major concerns there. The Orlando Magic, same as they've been the last couple games. Then the Pacers, we're looking at Malcolm Brogdon, missed the last game. I believe he's got a bruised or banged up knee. So if he doesn't play, TJ McConnell doesn't play once again. I did play him late 2 days ago, so he was definitely a guy that can pay off. Definitely helps you out in terms of assists and steals. Not a guy that scores a lot of points, but definitely somebody that is relevant for DFS. Jeremy Lamb is also a game time decision. If he doesn't play, gives a little bit of a bump up to Justin Holiday and Doug McDermott. Solidifies Doug McDermott's minutes a little bit more, hopefully in that closing stretch as well. Then for the Philadelphia 76ers, we're looking at Joel Embiid. He's dealing with a little bit of an ankle sprain. Tobias Harris, he missed the last game, still game time decision for this one. If one of these guys misses, if both of them end up missing, Ben Simmons is definitely in play. If Joel Embiid misses, you got Dwight Howard, maybe Tony Bradley that come into play. Then for the Jazz, they're the same as they've been, just Azubuike out once again. For the Pelicans, we're just looking at JJ Redick. I believe he's dealing with a hamstring strain. Don't think he's going to play, but shouldn't make too big a difference overall. Then the Nuggets are exactly the same as they were last time out. Bulls pretty much the same. Hutchinson is a game time decision. Looks like he might play, but shouldn't impact anything too much overall. Then for the Nets, we have Jeff Green, game time decision. He played last time out, so I believe he'll play again. Tyler Johnson missed the last game with migraines. He should be good to go this time out. And then TLC, once again, he's listed as a game time decision, but he's been playing lately, so I don't have any major concerns with him. The Spurs, pretty much the same as we've been looking at. Keldon Johnson is a game time decision. I don't think he plays in this one. They do have him penciled in for right now, but just keep an eye out on that one throughout the day. If he doesn't play, Trey Lyles, LaMarcus Aldridge, they'll probably get pretty decent run in this game. Then for the Cleveland Cavaliers, pretty much the same as they've been. They do get Taurean Prince back. Cedi Osman is a game time decision once again. Not sure if he'll play or not. Dean Wade has been starting, but his price has come up quite a bit, so he's not really in play for me. If Taurean Prince starts, I think he's definitely a guy you can go to on both sites. Then for the Rockets, pretty much the same as we've been looking at. Oladipo does return for this game. John Wall did play yesterday, so I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up sitting today. Just keep an eye out on that one. Then for the Hornets, Gordon Hayward was a surprise scratch yesterday. Hopefully he does end up playing today. We'll just keep an eye out on that one. I think part of it might have been the back-to-back and the fact that he's banged up as well. Cody Zeller, game time decision. I don't really see him playing, but we're just going to keep him out until I see otherwise. Devontae Graham is doubtful once again, so unlikely that he does play. I believe they said he's probably going to be out until the All-Star break anyway. So, and then last but not least, that Portland Trailblazers team, they are exactly the same as they've been in the last 3 or 4 games. So no changes there. Overall, not too many big news injuries, but definitely some ones to keep an eye out on throughout the day. But with that being said, we're going to get moved over to DraftKings, talk about my picks over there. So at the point guard position, we got Darius Garland. If you guys have been watching my channel for a while now, you know he's one of my boys, honestly. His price has come up quite a bit in recent weeks. He is $6,900. You're looking for 34, 35 fantasy points out of him. Goes against Houston today. Pretty favorable matchup. I think he's a guy that can do very well today. I think he can probably get you to that 35 points. And on a day like today where there's not a lot of value starting off, you need some guys that are fairly priced. Then at shooting guard, we have Dwayne Bacon. Didn't quite pan out for us all the way the last time out, but $3,700, pretty cheap price tag. He's playing minutes. You're looking for about 18, 19 fantasy points out of him, averaging 17 on the season. Definitely gives you at 20-point upside at a relevantly cheap price. Then we're going to go to small forward, DeMar DeRozan. $8,400 looks like a big price tag for him. Looking for 42 fantasy points out of him. He goes against the Brooklyn Nets. Pretty much the best matchup you can get, especially for a guy like DeMar DeRozan, a guy that can score the ball. And we also seen him facilitating quite a bit this year. So if he's got one of them games where he gets 7 assists, a couple of rebounds, and scores the ball well, he's definitely in play today. Then at power forward, we're going back to Mr. Not Sexy, Royce O'Neal. $4,800, you know, you're looking for 24 fantasy points out of him, averaging about 23 on the season. Pretty fair play. Like I said with Darius Garland, there's not a lot of value out on this slate. He's a guy that could get bumped later on in the day, but as of right now, seems like a pretty solid play. Then at center, we're going all the way up to Nikola Jokic. $10,800. You're looking for 59 fantasy points out of him. That's what he's averaging on the season. I think he's definitely got a chance to get to 60 in this game. Goes against that Bulls front court that is not very good overall. I know Wendell Carter Jr. has been playing decent for DFS purposes, but overall the Bulls do not have any defense that can stop a guy like Nikola Jokic. But if you go with these 5 guys that I have listed here, not quite as much salary left over as I tried to leave you guys with in most days. $15,400, just over $5,100 per player. Like I said, a lot of this could change during the day as some value opens up. Definitely be sure to check down in the comments for news as it does come out throughout the day. I try to update for the 1:30 injury report and then the 5:31 if there is one as well. But with that being said, these are my 5 picks for DraftKings for today. And with that being said, we're going to get moved over to the FanDuel side. On the FanDuel side, we're going to start off with point guard position, LaMelo Ball. $7,900. You're looking for 39, 40 fantasy points from him. He's a guy that's been solid, playing big minutes. Goes against a Portland defense that's not anything special. So definitely a guy I would consider at that higher price today. Then at shooting guard, we have Terrence Ross. It might not be a name that you guys are going to love, but he's a pretty solid value today. You know, you're looking for about 26, 27 fantasy points out of him, averaging almost 26 on the season. He's playing minutes. There's no James Ennis. He still comes off the bench pretty much no matter what, but he plays a major role on this team. If you get a night that he gets hot, he's definitely a guy that can get you upwards of 40 points. So I think he's a guy that he's kind of safe today, but he also gives you some upside as well. Then at small forward position, it is not pretty. I tried to find some value here. You're looking at guys like Justin Holiday, Doug McDermott, Garrett Temple. But for my purposes, I went with Justin Holiday. Seemed like the safest one at this point in time. $4,400, you know, you're looking for 22, 23 fantasy points out of him. He plays the minutes. It's a decent matchup for him. You know, if Malcolm Brogdon's out once again, if Jeremy Lamb's out, it should definitely help him out as well. Then power forward position. Didn't want to go back to it again on DraftKings today, but you can definitely do it over there as well. PJ Washington, we picked him yesterday. Still a pretty good matchup for him overall. I think he gets a lot of run at that backup 5 position today, especially when Enes Kanter's not in the game, because they're going to have Robert Covington playing that backup 5. So those 2 guys will match up pretty nicely for this one. $6,200, looking for about 31 fantasy points out of him, averaging about 30 on the season. And then you saw that massive upside game yesterday. If he does anything close to that again, which is highly unlikely, he's a massive, massive value at that point in time. But I think he's still a good value, even if he performs pretty much up to his normal standard. Like I said yesterday, he's the guy that's going to get you some blocks, some steals, some rebounds, and then whatever you get from his point scoring is just a bonus. It just happened that he got 42 points yesterday. If he gets that solid shooting stroke down once again, he definitely has the potential for massive upside. Then on the opposite side of that game, we have Enes Kanter, $6,300. You're looking for about 31, 32 fantasy points out of him. He gets about 30 on the season. Pretty good matchup for him overall, especially if Cody Zeller doesn't play once again. He's just a guy that gets a lot of rebounds, gets decent points. He's not a guy that's going to hurt you. Pretty safe play with some major upside today. I would also consider Jarrett Allen at that center position. I believe he's $7,900. Goes against Houston, who he rocked against the last time they played. Hopefully they play Justin Patton a little bit more in that game, but I still don't think he's a very good matchup for Jarrett Allen overall, but at least a bigger body than guys like PJ Tucker and Jay Sean Tate. And we did see Justin Patton start the last time out. But if you go with these 5 guys over on FanDuel, you have $29,800 left over. Just under $7,500 per player, so definitely some opportunities to pay up for some guys and pay down for some values as they come open throughout the day. But once again, these were my picks for both DraftKings and FanDuel for today, March 1st. As always, if you guys have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to ask me. Leave them down in the comment. Definitely here to help you guys out as well. I made a list yesterday with different plays at different positions, guys that I thought could be in play. If you guys enjoyed that, leave a comment down below. I'll try to do that again for you. And then, as always, I will be leaving all the news and the starting lineups down in the comments as they come available throughout the day. And then with that being said, if you guys are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Definitely means a lot to me. Definitely helps build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports. And that's really one for you, the viewers, helping you guys with your DFS, whether it's NBA or NFL, helping you guys with your fantasy football teams, covering all the different football news this offseason. And then as we move forward into baseball season, going to be covering some fantasy baseball and some baseball news as well. If you are a new or current subscriber who is yet to do so, also hit that notification bell down below. It's going to let you know every single time I post up a new video. And like I've been saying, do daily NBA DFS videos like this where I go through my picks on both DraftKings and FanDuel for the day. And then throughout this week, I'll also be doing some different fantasy football content as well. I will have the NFC South and the NFC East bold predictions recap out at some point this week as well. So definitely want to check that one out when that one drops if you guys are into fantasy football, into football at all. But with that being said, that's all I really have for today's video. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed. Hopefully you all do very well in NBA DFS tonight. Like I said, just be sure you're looking out for that news as value opens up throughout the day. It's going to be very, very important on a day like today. And last but not least, I'd like to give a shout out to each and every one of you watching this video. Definitely means a lot to me. Definitely appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. And with that being said, I hope each and every one of you has a great, great rest of your day.